accept that it's gone. It's a gone opportunity. I don't think about it anymore. Looking for the future, looking for the new opportunity, the new door that's standing open. That's my Northern Star. I couldn't see my Northern Star. I couldn't see anything. Didn't know what was right in front of me. So the only thing I could do is take one step.
Welcome back to Love, Life, and Legacy, the podcast dedicated to helping you navigate these hypersexualized times of ours. And in today's episode, I'm taking a vacation. And by that, I mean, I have a guest interviewer. His name is Andranik. You might know him. He's our chapter leader over there in Europe. And he's interviewing Antto Andranik. Now, Antto has been a dear friend of ours since the European tour back in 2019. And he's had his own journey. And this is a really, really important episode for everybody whose life isn't perfect. Sound familiar? Now, we have big ideals in our movement. On a personal level, we have things like the blessing, which is all about creating these really powerful, beautiful families. And on a worldwide level, we are trying to create Chandraguk. We're trying to create an ideal landscape for humans in which to exist. But the path between here and there, the inevitable better world that we're striving for, is not going to be linear. And there's going to be twists and turns. And unfortunately, sometimes that means heartache. And for Antto's case, that was the matching for him. He went through some difficult situations during a previous matching process. And the fact that he not only bounced back, but he now has a beautiful wife that he loves very much and kids, plural, he's living this dream. And for many of us, when we have these ideals, but we feel too far away, that's the exact moment that we give up. So let this episode be a lesson to everybody out there to plug into this story that he has that is all about redemption, is all about revitalizing yourself and bouncing back when you fall down. So let's listen to Antto's story. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Sorry I can't be there.
Everybody, and welcome to another episode. Time we're talking about rejection. It's something no one wants to go through, but at some point in life, we have to deal with it. And in the matching process, it can hit especially hard because it's not just about finding a spouse, it's about our hopes, our faith, and even about our identity. So what do we do when things don't go the way we wanted? How do we handle the emotions, the doubts, and the temptations to just give up? Today, we're talking about how to deal with rejection in the matching process, not just surviving it, but coming out stronger, more grounded, and ready for what's next. We'll be unpacking the emotional aftermath, how to process it in a healthy way, and ultimately, how to move forward with confidence and hope. So whether you've faced rejection yourself, know someone who has, or just want to prepare your heart for the journey ahead, this episode is for you. And today, I have none other than Antto Andranik. He's a dear brother of mine, older brother. He's been serving in the Vienna community as community leader together with his wife for the past, how many years already?
2 years.
2 years. In the past as well, maybe actually more, his wife, Jonghae, has been contributing a lot to the YSP in Europe. They're raising 2 adorable daughters. And it's my pleasure to welcome Antto on the show right before, actually, he leaves Europe. How are you?
Welcoming words, Andranik, and thanks for being here, allowing me to be here on the podcast with you. Yeah, I'm doing good. I've got the camera very nicely so you don't see all the boxes and stuff lying behind me, but we're in the process of packing, and next week it's off to Korea. But I'm doing very well. Otherwise, I'm very, very glad to be here with you discussing this topic, which is very important, and I think many of our brothers and sisters go through these things. So I think it's very, very, very good to discuss it.
Yeah. When I asked you about this episode, your first message was, my specialty. Way possible. I was like, wow, okay. So I want to kick this off. It's just, how does rejection in a matching process typically impact a person emotionally from there?
Great question. Well, I think before we go to that, we should, I guess, discuss what's the feeling that you have before and in a matching process. And I guess it's always the feeling of hope, right? You have a hope this could be the one person, and especially if you go past the initial communication phase, it's like everything kind of seems good, and you start talking, taking it a bit more seriously, getting to know the other person, um, unavoidably also start forming a certain kind of bond. This is if you like the other person, you do feel that you like like them as well. Um, so then obviously if it's in a situation that you recognize it's not going to work out, whether because it's yourself who's deciding, okay, I'm cause not to go forward with this, or even in some cases you want to continue, but the other one doesn't want to continue for whatever reason, feeling you have is disappointment when that hope is kind of shattered. You're like, the things that you're kind of envisioning from the beginning, could it be, I don't know if everyone works like this, but I often, in the beginning of a matching process, I'm a bit like trying to envision, okay, would it be possible, with this person, how would a future look like? And if it's hopeful in the beginning, it's the more difficult than when it turns out that it won't work, and you feel just quite disappointed, and it's really shattered there, like, or the dream is shattered, and anyway you have to recollect yourself.
Uh, I'm I actually I personally never went through that kind of process. I mean, I'm
How lucky you.
be lucky in that sense that I had just one matching process. But
Hmm.
I remember that I was consciously kind of pull myself back from letting my imagination, my mind just like fly 100 miles per hour into this, because it just all felt like, wow, finally it's coming, like the blessing is within reach, everything is so within reach, and this person I really like. And what you're saying is like, yeah, I mean, if things hadn't gone the way they would have been a lot of disappointment. I was putting a lot of emotional weight on this to happen, on this to come true. And I can imagine, yeah, that for for everyone going through that, like, especially if you've really kept your purity like all this time, and now it's finally time to tango. It's yeah, all the pressure and expectations mounting up if they end up, yeah, if things go sideways or not the way we want. Respectful.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. And so then what comes next? What kind of things follow rejection process, or like when things don't go the way we want?
Yeah, I think it's maybe worth also just grabbing onto what you were just saying. This kind of a 100, how you were holding yourself back. Try not to go at like 100% into it and be like, "Yay, this is amazing!" And then because you know it's like accelerating with a car, full power, and then hitting a wall, and don't have enough time to brake. That'll crash and you'll hurt yourself much more. So I do think general advice, for brothers and sisters who are in matching process or about to go into one, is, I think, yeah, take it slow. Try to stay cool, try to stay calm. Take your time, generally speaking. And because I think that's also, and, just kind of step by step, it's a very good idea to try to hold yourself back like you did. I think I also learned that after a while to, take it slowly, and, it became a bit more bearable when you're not 100% like, okay, this is going to be it, until both you and her have, discussed things through and have committed. Though sometimes, obviously, even after that, it can still in a rejection or a failure. So the question is then, okay, what's after? Depending very much on kind of if you are going at 20% or 100%. Um, but I think in either case, there's this kind of sense of you know the hope has been let down, and the very first thing is, I think you need to accept that. You should not run from that. And um, many brothers and sisters, when they go through an experience that they're in a matching where they're very eager and it doesn't work out, sometimes it's a blessing, that they've entered, and then so it doesn't work out. Comes with this kind of a disappointment, and the kind of maybe dream shattered. You get this sense that you want to run away from it, right? You don't want to face that pain, real pain. You want to reject that. So of course you will try to escape to whatever computer games, or it could be porn and masturbation or something like this. Many brothers and sisters, they also, for them, it's matter that they feel like, okay, this is, all I've prepared for. I don't want to deal with this whole thing anymore. They, see it as a reason, okay, believe in God and your parents and this movement, how can I be in this movement anymore? If the one thing that, I've been preparing for doesn't work out. Yeah. So there's even in that, I'd see like people are like escaping sometimes from that reality. And I feel that's the first step. Accept it, be ready. You have to deal with it. Running
Absolutely.
away from it one way or another is just going to cause you problems later on. So that's the first step.
Yeah, yeah. I like what you said there that uh it's actually the matching and blessing is in many ways the culmination of like your youth growing up in this movement. It's if you follow along with all the steps and all the like that whole journey of keeping your purity and work building yourself towards this.
Hmm.
I know from a guy's perspective, it's like, well, I'm trying to be kind of this, yeah, I'm trying to make an offering of myself to a future spouse. And I think that for a lot of guys, it can also be one of the primary motivations of why do I even try to have like good sexual integrity? Why do I even try to build good habits in my life and
Hmm.
to stay away from bad ones, like stay away from porn and masturbation, because that's, I don't want to bring that into the process. But then I'm faced with this rejection and,
Hmm.
and probably can feel like, well, then what was I even trying for? Like what?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, what the heck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So acceptance of that pain. Hmm.
Yeah. Exactly. I feel that's crucial. So don't run away from it, and that requires kind of integrity and strength, to because I think often, we can have the tendency we want to escape from unpleasant thing. I mean, unpleasant things, and it's even a psychological reaction. Sometimes if it's too big a pain, we try to shut it off. And that's how trauma is built. Basically, that you don't deal with the pain that you has been inflicted upon you, and you're not ready, you're not capable to do it. So, from my perspective, that's the first thing. Accept that, and is then to start dealing with it. Processing that what you've gone through, the rejection and the pain. And with this, I think one thing that's really highlighted by High Noon is extremely important. That's community, and doesn't mean like, necessarily having a um, your local church community, but what I'm talking about is people around you, someone who you can share with openly, honestly, who'll be there for you. So, for instance, in my case, I went through mentioned this yet, but I went through 7 different longer processes before I was like seven. Jonghae, my current wife, is the uh, seventh process that I went through, and finally it was the success. Woo, managed it. It was worth it, but so it was like 6 times things didn't work out. Um, what was for me very important was first of all having my parents around. I could talk with them, and I think my older sister was someone very important. She was already blessed, um, at a kind of younger age. So I could talk with her quite honestly, and I think these were the people who helped me survive. Really, that
Mm.
I could share about the pain that I'm going through, because that's the other thing. I think you bearing it all on your own is extremely difficult. So you should have ideally your parents, but siblings, a good friend, good able type friend who can guide you. That's the second thing. Is like, you need that support to process things, work things out,
Mm.
express, say what's on your heart, and sometimes cry.
That's cool because right at those times we want to escape the most. Probably we want to hide and like kind of not be seen by people the most.
Hmm.
That's my experience has been that yeah, on our Hainan programs, as much as I've been involved in the past year, as many groups or people that I've met, it's like uh, people are usually very willing to join when they're in a good place or
Hmm.
when like circumstances are right. But when it comes to them really going through difficult times, it's much more difficult to join as well. And it's my experience communicating even now with people. We're going on this like sprint. We're trying to make as many people
Hmm.
aware as possible that yeah, we've launched a new Ascend program, and the interactions I've had is that it's usually the people who are in the hardest of circumstances are the most reluctant also to join and to
Hmm.
like experience community and invite people to support. And that's why is that? Like, why?
Yeah, it's well, actually, I have a excellent experience of this. Let me share. I was just kind of a, I guess, quite smoothly for me. I, had no big difficulties with sexual integrity. 21, when then my parents started looking for a match and quickly found someone, and then tough well and went to the blessing, and then I went to the first time when I was 22 years old, like 4 or 5 months after the blessing, told me that okay, continue. You're a terrible person, Antto, and had this very intense session with. Anyway, there was a lot of there was a lot of unhandled pain and trauma in the family. I think that's so. I'm not taking. I'm not. I understand where they're coming from, where with their reactions. But anyway, so it was extremely painful for me. This kind of it was a very painful, very harsh rejection, and I was very kind of naive and maybe in a sense, but very like, had this my dream and vision and everything was going wonderfully, and then suddenly like battered. Something that I'd felt like I'd worked my whole life towards. And for me it was, one thing that had also motivated me along the way was in Finland, I was one of the elder second generation. So I was always having this heart, I want to pioneer the path, I want to be an example for the younger ones so they can have a smoother time journey. And I was youth leader in Finland at the time when my blessing broke. Back with those feelings, and I was like, my goodness, I I felt like totally unworthy to be in that position. I'm like, I cannot stand in front of other people when I failed. I felt so shameful. And I met my national leader, and I told him, okay, because of this, step down from my position. I don't feel I'm worthy to be in that position anymore. So I think that's the natural thing. We feel like I'm not worthy anymore. Now, I have had a very good national leader. He told me the right words what to tell me. He told me, if you give up your position, it's a complete victory for Satan. So for me, that was just that was just the right thing. I was like, I can't have that. Okay, and I committed to doing another year of mission, and it was very difficult being in front of the second generation and speaking. You know, I don't know what would have happened. I probably would have tried to hide somewhere, but I wasn't given that option, so I had to stay there bearing the, how do you say, humiliation or embarrassment, but still being there kind of as someone who's this kind of a difficult situation, but still being there and kind of, because I had to be that in an kind of exemplary position, motivating others, kind of did help me to also, and let's say it protected me from drifting away too far, or from running away in a certain sense. So I think that really, really helped me. So I kind of exactly get what you're talking about. This kind of sense of wanting to escape, but there it's even more important that also this is maybe for people who are around someone, because we definitely everyone knows someone. If we haven't gone through it ourselves, we know someone who has gone through rejection. So in the effort to try to get them included, keep them included, show them that you are worthwhile being my friend. You're worthwhile being a member of the local community or whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't lose any of your worth from these difficult things you've gone through. Of course, you'll take moments to kind of be on your own and cry somewhere in private. That's part of it. But don't. Hey, I think that's again the kind of first thing, and you'll need time when you need people to also kind of hold on to you a bit and be like, don't you run away, don't you give up. This actually leads us to the next point, which I feel is crucial.
Mm.
Unless you want to comment on what I just
Yeah,
said.
yeah. I think that, yeah, this is great, and I wanted maybe to still practical points of like
Hmm.
if we can point out some steps that we can take like in dealing with these emotions in a healthy way. So like plugging into community. Well, first just accepting the outcome, and then plugging into people that we can hold on to in that moment
Exactly.
as rocks, right? And is there anything else?
That's the third thing, and that's kind of the you could almost say the most important thing is holding on to your vision, and that's kind of and this is what I recommend to everyone. Like before you start matching communication or process or anything, be clear on what you want. What is your vision for your life? What is your vision for your marriage? Importantly, um, and that's the third thing. Like just because one thing didn't work out doesn't mean that there's a path to get to that point. remember your vision, and that's something that really does help you back on your feet. You remember, I mean, look, so for me, it was like 6 failed processes. Kind of with each one, there was a lot of hope, and then your hope's kind of let down, and it's like I was at a point at 27 years old, I think, and then the sixth one didn't work out. Even we were already matched and literally about to go to the blessing. I'd already signed up for the blessing, but then anyway, it crashed. Where I was like, I knew what I want. I knew what my vision was. I was like, I want to be happily married. Quite simple. Contribute to the providence, but um, I could no longer picture myself being happily married. Like literally, even if I tried in my mind's eye, I could not imagine it. It was somehow, it's hard to describe, but I could not imagine it. It was too many times, I'd felt that kind of pain. So for me, it was difficult to visualize being loved and loving fully and happily. So the one and only thing that kept me going at that time actually was the thought that was actually a matter of faith, really. I believed that even though God has a plan for restoring the world and uniting Korea and through UPF events and Women's Federation and all the big things going in the world, trusted that God has a plan for me to be happy. The only thing I could hold at some point when I could no longer, like even I lost my vision almost. I knew it. That's what I want. Lost hope in it. So that's the only thing I didn't lose hope in is God, and that God loves me and God wants me to be happy and has a plan for me to get there. So that's the thing I held on to. Going to my seventh process, I was like, okay, this is going to be the last one. I'm not going to give up on God. I'm not going to give up on the principle. That was all clear for me. And I never had a doubt in that, because for me, it's like if I look at the Bible and the principal explanation of the Bible, it's just clear that God faced one failure after another. Constant failures. The biblical history is failure, 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 failure. And what happens? Try again, try again, try again.
Yo, guys, if you are struggling with your sexual integrity, you want to quit porn and masturbation, but you don't know where to start, you've tried everything, there's something you haven't tried, you have not tried, going to our completely free webinar at highnu.org. It is a completely awesome and free and very impactful webinar that's about 30 minutes. It's going to be good. It's good. It's really good. Check it out, highnu.org, if you want to get serious about breaking free from porn and masturbation, or maybe you're kind of serious, maybe on the fence, and just curious. Check it out. Go to highnu.org, and that is a place for you to start to get your life together. All right, see ya.
For me, it was clear, things don't work out like in an ideal. I mean, look at your father's life, right? His first marriage didn't work out. Second relationship didn't work out, and only then with your mother did, who was then maybe the destined one, did things actually work out. But so for me, I knew failure is not a reason that God doesn't exist. But so what I'm coming back to is this trust that God, and if this, I was determined with the seventh one, if it doesn't work out, I'm going to be a single monk, unificationist monk for God for the rest of my life, or something like this. I mean, I'd stay open for someone to appear, but I would no longer pursue. I would no longer make the effort as me and my parent had done before to kind of look. And I was always waiting for someone. So I'd been like, okay, if it doesn't work out, I'm just going to accept I'm on my own. Going to do my best like this. It worked out, and that was just those of you who are still struggling, still searching. It's worth being there. Then at that moment at the end, when you're there with the right person standing there, it's like you can look back at everything, all the struggles, all the rejections, all the difficulties, and ask yourself the question: was that all worth to be here, stand next to this person? And I think for me, the answer was absolutely clearly yes. Getting there was worth.
Yeah. Wow. That's that in itself, I think that was such a powerful testimony, just kind of following your life and how elements, but this like relationship with our ideals, relationship with our North Star, like here we call it North Star.
The North Star, yeah.
Yeah. And relationship with God, like all of these things play a role. And I find it, yeah, like failure I've dealt with in my life as well. And there's been plenty. And even, okay, having gone through successfully getting matched and blessed, and then the blessing struggles as well. And in the blessing, as I've talked to, I've basically put the pieces together that the blessing also has a journey, and there's low points, and you just That's part of the process. You have to get through that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at points there was nothing else to cling on to other than the faith that God made all of this and he knows what's coming next, and that somewhere out there there's a happy ending in all of that, and just somehow trusting that. Meanwhile, just kind of shouting at the sky and feeling
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what the heck?
Struggling through life, exactly. Going, how you say, crawling through the mud. But you move forward. That's the point. Yeah. So, if we want to recap again, the 4 points. So first is acceptance, then community, third vision, and fourth one is then God, or faith. Your faith in God.
Mm,
Faith. However you want to
yeah,
describe it. And I think all of that should lead you to, you know, keep
yeah.
going.
What comes to my mind at this point is that it's something that we talk about in our talks at our workshops a lot
Mm-hmm.
about is that there's many things in life that are fighting God to take that position as
Yeah.
God, and
Mm-hmm.
there is the actual God, Heavenly Parent, the Heavenly Parent that we have the grace of meeting through as well, our true parents and Jesus, and and through our personal relationship. But then there's so many things. There's like these gadgets, right, that
Mm-hmm.
present nowadays all kinds of false gods, and
Mm-hmm.
it's as we build habits and we build these relationships with all kinds of false gods. I think that probably these times when unwanted outcomes happen, when like we're really down low, I think the voices of these false gods are probably some of the loudest. And
Mm-hmm.
since pornography, masturbation, or like any kind of unwanted behaviors that are usually actually very self-harmful come into play, offering a sort of a way out, a salvation, a comfort. And
An
I want to
escape.
say this, a what?
An escape
An
is what they
escape. Yeah,
provide.
exactly. And I want to say this to well, I personally can probably relate most to brothers in saying this, but let's see if you agree with this, but there's really nothing of true value that any of these things can offer in the any medium to long term perspective, and perhaps anything that they can offer has like a short term fleeting benefit of well, numbing ourselves a bit, or feeling like we don't need to with that kind of pain in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but ultimately, I've found throughout my life, and I find in every single person that I look up to, in times of like, especially extreme difficulty, extreme challenge, and that can be defined for everyone, in their life as it means to them. But in any time of extreme challenge, difficulty, to the people that manage to put God first, to connect with people, I look up to people who manage, right, to stay true to that original vision that they had. And yeah, I find that as actually like the way forward through, and this goes beyond just the rejections and matching processes,
Mm-hmm.
all stance in life.
Yeah. No, I agree with that that thing, and I feel like this is something. Put it like, I think the key element there is like sometimes that do you hold on to your original ideal, your North Star, your vision, your faith, whatever? Do you hold on to that despite embarrassment or humiliation? And I feel like, you know, if we look at some of our best examples, I mean, look at Jesus, what he went through, such humiliation and stuff like, and ridicule and persecution, but, holding true, but like knowing that what this is still what I'm going to do, you know, or true father, true mother, the things they have gone through from, even the people closest to them who are kind of calling them names and worse, but they're like, no, but this is what I'm going to do. Kind of a commitment, your ideal commitment to um, moving forward, and even when you have to stand in front of people, you know, after something that's been extremely difficult, can you still stand there proud? I mean, that I'm moving forward, and that's difficult, and but I feel that's what defines really a person of character. That you're not, how do you say, you're not caught up in a sense that I have to be
Mm.
I have to be successful. Like, even when you fail, you dare to stand there. And I think this is such a thing that it really transform your character, actually, I feel. And for any great person, I feel like this is a thing that you have to go through, actually. You have to go through humiliation and embarrassment and bear with it, still move forward with it and not hide or get angry and like, okay, no, I'm not going to do with this because of what I've gone through. And, don't grow resentful, because that's the same thing. You're getting stuck on your own ego. Let go of that and move forward. Take a face on whatever's coming your way and keep going. But that's the real challenge. That's the real struggle.
In many ways, yeah, that's what you'll need to do when you get married.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm only there like for 4 years, but I see that, oh yeah, I think this is just gonna be the pattern. It's gonna be better and nicer probably, but that, yeah, having the patience to go through setbacks is just something that I'll need to do, and not fall back on like all the things that I've built up first of all, and then not sabotage like the kind of ideals that we've worked towards just because I'm experiencing some turbulence at the moment. And I want to say also that I've been mentioning that like maybe I can speak more to brothers, but I think this applies across genders equally. And I'm saying this because the suggestion for this episode came from a brother, and I really appreciate that as well. That brother like experienced actually exactly this rejection, and his to that was, well, first of all, he's just continuing moving with life and like, so yeah, participating on High Noon as well as suggesting this topic to us and being so open
Great
about
going.
it. Well, shout out to that brother. He knows who he is, and I'm sure he's listening to it. Yeah. And moving on, I think, moving on, achieving closure, probably that third part of the whole journey of the act, and being able to now, like, what I would say it'd be good if we could define to be ready to move on, or to move on to the next process, or to welcome again this whole journey that you don't know now, is it going to end in success or failure, but what does it mean to accept that again?
Got it. Yeah, I think everyone, each case is so individual, so it's very hard to put like a very kind of one size fits all here. Let's first maybe discuss a little bit the closure part, which I feel is important, because you need to have that in order to, as the first step to kind of prepare to make a new start. Um, so this really depends, if it's a communication process hasn't lasted very long, you're a bit like disappointed, but there's no big commitment or anything in there yet. Maybe anything special. You just need to admit, okay, that's it, that's over. It's gone. It's a gone opportunity. I don't think about it anymore. Looking for the future, looking for the new opportunity, the new door that's standing open. And if it's been a very tough situation, like a tough rejection, and so for me that was when my first blessing broke, and I felt literally like I was in a mist, like I couldn't see a step before me. Before it was like clearly, okay, that's where I'm going, that's my vision. I couldn't see my northern star, I couldn't see anything, didn't know what was right in front of me. So the only thing I could do is take one step, and that's, it became in the beginning, it became just almost a day-to-day survival. Just get through this day, get through this day. Sometimes it's like that, and you just need to. That's the hardest part, where you just need to push day by day, force yourself to keep going sometimes, and but eventually you'll notice, okay, I'm managing to walk, and some point you may just get also sick of being, okay, now I'm done with this. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to be down like this anymore. I've had enough of this. After 4 months of a kind of depression after my blessing broke, and then I did closure in the following way. I wrote one final letter, or kind of final letter, to the sister I had been blessed with, and emailed it to her. It was a kind letter. I was not putting anger in there or anything, but just saying thank you for everything, and I wish you all the best. Essentially, like thanks for the good time. Sorry that I was not good enough. This is it from my part. I'm going to wish you all the best for life. I'm going to move on. Kind of that kind of a letter was a clear closure from my part. Maybe some people manage to do this kind of right away. That's even better. But sometimes I feel you're right that you put that out and you send it, and you don't have to expect an answer. If it's a very burned land situation, maybe you don't even send it. You just, write that and burn it or whatever. Do that, make closure, make it clear. Okay, now that's it. And the next step that I mentioned is the new start. And this is really up to you. For me, like in certain situations, I do something like a 21-day condition, 21-day time period of bit kind of extra effort for prayer and hundoke or something like that. I've done more radical things as well, like after the most difficult experience, and I had sent the final letter. Then I shaved my head, all the hair off, and I did a 7-day fast. It was like, okay, complete new start. But for me, that was extremely helpful. And I think it's sometimes, the more stuck you are, the more radical thing you need to do to kind of a bit like, okay, now that's gone, that's over, it's a new start, time to look forwards. And for me, that made a huge difference. And even other people could see it. Like I've met someone a couple of days before I shaved my head, and then met him a couple of days after. And then I was wearing a hat. It was winter in Finland, so I haven't had covered.
Yeah.
And I met him, and he was like, "Whoa, you look different." Then he pulled my hat off. I was like, "Whoa, different." But you could see in my facial expression that something was liberated, something was free. And I'm not saying, it doesn't mean that you after that it's all a smooth ride and you don't feel sad sometimes. But in generally, I think that's you make that closure, you make a new start. That's the thing. And then once you've made that new start, um, maybe up to you, like each person's own evaluation is that then with that new start you're ready to move forward. But longer, you can have a short thing, like a 3-day thing, if it's not being too serious. If it's been more difficult, make it something, but don't make it unlimited. Make it like 3 weeks, 40 days at most, because otherwise it'll be like there'll be no end to it. So make a clear new start thingy,
Right.
condition.
Yeah. I actually shaved my head also after SDF ended, because SDF, it didn't end for us. It was abruptly cut because of the
All right.
pandemic thing. And
Mm-hmm.
somehow I came to this idea that, okay, like I was just in Albania witnessing like 2 days ago, and now I'm home. And like all my SDF buddies, everyone's gone. Like
Mm-hmm.
the world is closing down, and yeah, and then I shaved my head. But I get what you're saying about like these. So even like experiencing physical change as like
Yeah,
as a marker
absolutely.
of like now is a new start. And I think that nowadays it's actually incredible and amazing how many opportunities there are to do so many different things. In the past few years, like the whole Trumbull province has developed in Europe so much that it's likely that there'll be a workshop or, in the next couple of weeks or months. And whatever works I think for whatever works to give that experience of both closing and feeling like, this emotional, physical, spiritual liberation that I'm starting again.
Mm-hmm.
It's important, I think, to pursue, like just like to go towards that. And even if it's like you said, like one step at a time.
And I feel like it's important that you do something I think it's great to go to workshops, something like this, but you also need to do this kind of a clear new start in your everyday life. So that's why I like, physical change. I mean, shaving your head or rearranging your room, but something you do, something very, that's that you cannot escape noticing that something is different, something is new. So that, it'll have a huge impact on your spirit as well. That, you get that feeling. Because if you only internally be okay, now something's changed, but everything externally is exactly the same, it's difficult, But you change something, you put your sweat into rearranging the furniture, and you're like, okay, now it's a new start. You feel like it, it feels like a new start. So I think it's another hint, to consider.
Oh, this is great stuff. And anything else you want to share about like from your personal stories of like achieving closure starts and also like a question that I'm wondering about, because we kind of talked about it already, but
Mm-hmm.
just trust in God's timing and God's process, even when like everything, the signs around you are just like, showing red no.
I mean, let's remember true father and true mother were blessed when true father was 40 years old. So, it's I figured, okay, I was like 26, 27 and stuff like this. Been like, okay, well, still some time to catch up with true father. Of course, it doesn't always to compare yourself to the Messiah, because that can be a bit
Yeah.
depressing and like, well, he went to North Korea in prison, what have I gone through? Yeah, no, so acknowledge that, people have a different relationship to God. For some people, the relationship is very strong. I recommend to everyone, do work on that relationship with God. They'll benefit you throughout your life, not just in the matching and blessing process, but as you said, Andranik, in marriage, there's going to be difficulties in marriage. It's not a living happily ever after. You'll have to, you'll have to crawl sometimes, to make things work, and you have your, arguments and stuff like this, and then humble to kind of make things up and so on. Um, so yeah, it's definitely worth that relationship with our heavenly parent, and making sure it's a personal relationship is what I really want to emphasize. You don't, okay, I'm going to be a bit radical. I'm going to say that you don't necessarily relationship to God level during workshops. I think you do this in your own time, when you're out of your own initiative, going out for a walk somewhere, and kneeling in the nature on a mountain or in a forest, wherever, and praying on your own, out of your own desperate heart. Like, God, come here, be with me. And you're absolutely honest. I mean, the way I know God is God deals with honesty, not with formality so much. This is I think, I can't remember who it was. Was it God? No, who said that, if you are not moved by your prayer, neither will God be moved by your prayer, something like that. Absolute honesty, being, sometimes I feel like we think, okay, God is somewhere there that we need to worship and only say good things. I think that's nonsense. I think, we need to, we can be angry with God. I think God loves that much more than if we pretend to be nice to God, but inside we're feeling like, ah, rather, take it all out on God. That's what a parent wants, take it out on me, but don't cut me off from what's in your heart, just let it all out. So having that brutal honesty with God, putting everything, directly in his face, in a sense, and, you know, having an honest discussion. I think that's what we need. Yeah. So I think that sometimes that just helps, having this kind of God helps you to be honest with yourself as well. If you don't have another person with whom you confide in whom you confide about everything, at least confide about everything to God, really what's in your heart. Yeah. And don't be afraid of that. So, um, yeah, that's the stuff that creates the bond, I think.
Mm. Yeah, honesty, we talk about a lot as well, as like as the foundation to start, even like often to start, yeah, going towards any meaningful goal. Start your recovery journey, for example. If you have a bunch of unwanted stuff going on in your life, unwanted habits, sexual habits, the acknowledgement of
Mm-hmm.
what's going on even is an important first step, and requires a lot of courage as well. But said, right, that the relationship with God is built most not on workshops, but in your own personal time. And that's a much more like this workshops make things easy, and perhaps they create the right environment to start and to feel inspired to do something about our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we know about this because we do workshops almost every weekend nowadays. We just wrapped up a kind of a very short program in Warsaw and Poland, and now we'll do one in Lithuania and in Slovenia, and we're talking about Moldova. And anywhere we go, like that similar experience, that it's very inspiring on that workshop. There's lots of energy going on, and we benefit actually from other people's energy as well, right? Like in
Mm-hmm.
an environment where everyone's focused on growth, we can benefit from that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Absolutely.
it's important to be in those environments, but the more important thing is what we do after. The
Exactly.
more important
Yeah.
thing is, like, on a regular Tuesday, how are you welcoming your day, or how are you, yeah, and in your relationship with God and in your thinking. That's something that try to like stay true to, is like having very honest relationships, especially in the ones that matter. So even with my own parent, I would then bring up stuff, or I would express frustrations. I would bring stuff to them.
Mm-hmm.
not shy away from conflict. Like, even though it was like extremely painful and difficult, because they wouldn't understand even sometimes, or they would, like, they would see situations differently, and that's how it is, and it would not even have a satisfying resolution. But the act of, like, to my parents, instead of like finding some other place, some kind of false source of love to fill that up, I found that to be like this. I think that was my shield, like, throughout my youth
Mm-hmm.
and growing up. Like, just the point of into this, like, yeah, discomfort and like very unwanted conversation sometimes, but going deep and into the true pains of my heart, um, that would always have like a long-term effect of safe and keeping me connected. Yeah, it's that was great. I really enjoyed this conversation, and
Thank you. Likewise.
when I was thinking about this, I really just wanted it. I wanted not to, also like make it seem like matching or blessing advice, because that's not necessarily what we're out here at High Noon to do. But I hope that people listening could find this useful and
Mm-hmm.
benefit from the wise advice of you, Antto. I thought, actually, you mentioned, right, that you were a youth leader, and then after that first uh, collapse of the blessing, like, if you felt like it was not your position to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, you felt like, you want to be an exemplary brother and you want to show the way, but that after that, all of this journey, now you're speaking on this podcast, and actually you often appear on BFD programs and matching and blessing prep things, and I think you're being exactly that exemplary brother on a very, very big stage now. And so that's,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really
Yep.
grateful for you.
Thank
And
you. Points out that going through failure is not that doesn't mean that you can't support others. And I think it's in the end, if you look at Jesus and your father, how many failures and difficulties they went through. So that's life, but you can still inspire others, and it's the reality, right? The smooth sailing, but a rough sea at times. So you take water into the boat, but you got to keep on going and emptying the boat and keep sailing.
yeah, I agree to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, to everyone listening, if you want support with some rowers on your boat, some good sails, check out our programs, what we have on offer, because this is all that we do. We're really trying to support everyone to win in their lives. And thank you again, Anta, for joining. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much, and take care, everyone. Thank you.
Friend, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed it, I want to give you guys a little bit of action. If you are someone that wants to receive the blessing in the future, but you're struggling with your sexual integrity, or you are someone that is blessed currently and you're struggling, then we do have an opportunity for you. It's a completely free, totally free, easy to set up webinar for you guys. Go to highnoon.org. It's the first thing on the homepage. It's a webinar that's free. It's good. I put a lot of effort into it. I did, and our team did. So check it out, highnoon.org, so you can get started about getting serious about your sexual integrity. That's where you need to start. All right, do that.